The Danish alone in the wilderness is back, bringing past contestants to tackle the Norwegian forest again. It's unclear if their past experiences will help. With richer resources, some contestants are quickly finding plenty of food. Check out how everything's so neatly arranged, like they're prepping a market stall. Honestly, the fish is the best thing to eat here. Everyone's got a stash of dried fish, like they're prepping for a banquet. When it's grilled, the aroma is mouth-watering. I wonder if we sign up now, can we still snag some of that fish? First, let's check out who's in the game. Do you remember Chris? He was a contestant in the first season. He never thought he'd get a chance to come back. If you don't recall, you can revisit the first season where Chris did quite well. Next up is Jesper from season 4. He had a pretty easy time in his challenge, with hardly anything slowing him down. Sadly, injuries eventually got the better of him. If Jesper stays healthy this time, I believe he could win. I'm excited to see how he does this season. Jesper says it feels like he's back home. He's already got plans for the prize money and is super confident. He even told the others to pack up and leave early. His arrogance is off the charts. Let's see if he can beat his previous record. Jesper thinks the forest trolls here are really not great. He even wants the show to change locations. Let's first see what resources are available. Take note of his smile now. Wait until the next check-in, he won't look this lively. How long do you think he'll last this time? Next up is Camilla, the tough competitor from Season 5's Duel Challenge. After all, she's the one who drank her own urine. She believes this time will be easier and aims to outlast her previous stint. Her girlfriend is very worried about Camilla, thinking she won't last long without her by her side. Camilla just smiles silently. The challenge was sweet, but caring for her girlfriend was stressful. Now, on her own, Camilla can't imagine losing. She's determined to outlast her previous stint. She even asked the show to prepare food for her return and told her girlfriend to prepare a big meal. Camilla is ready to win this time. Let's hope nature cooperates. To help them last longer, the show has given them top-notch gear. They can bring one extra item of their choice. Past contestants picked all kinds of things. I wonder if their experience will help. Jesper got a stick as soon as he entered the game. Whether used as a cane or a weapon, it felt just right in his hand. After a quick clean, he didn't expect to find food right away. He slowly approached with the stick. In no time, he snagged a fish from the water. Wow, food right off the bat. Just as long as he avoids beer, he's good. From past experience, Jesper figured there'd be mushrooms around. Sure enough, he found some nearby. Collecting them all would last him a while. Jesper felt this place was fantastic and became more confident he could stay till the end. Everything was going well, and his mood was improving. In wilderness survival, resources are the most important. You can't miss any edible things. Jesper felt he was doing great, while Chris hadn't even landed yet. He was already excited on camera. The show stressed no contact with others, but there weren't many rules. Returning to Norway for wilderness survival, Chris felt younger. He wondered what challenges he would face this time. He took his time, soaking up the sun and surveying the area before exploring. Chris quickly decided on a spot for his shelter. For him, being close to the shore was crucial for easy access to water and fishing. Setting up the shelter was much simpler. Just pull up the waterproof tarp. Anyway, he would build a bigger one later. As long as he could sleep, it was good enough. It took under 10 minutes to set up, and now he could rest. Let's see which contestant is coming next. It turned out to be Victor from Season 5, challenging alone this time. The pressure of wilderness survival was quite high. Even though he had honed his skills, he still felt a bit anxious. He regretted joining the challenge as soon as he entered. He thought he might quit soon and hoped the crew would come early. Victor had mixed feelings. He had to try to stay longer and really wanted to know why his partner wasn't allowed. He didn't expect to suffer again. Last time, he only lasted 16 days, and it was miserable with his partner. This time, he didn't expect to win, just to beat his previous record. Victor wasn't doing well. It seems like the producers just needed an extra body. Victor had zero motivation from the start, just lying around doing nothing. We could count him out already. After lounging around forever, Victor finally got up to explore and found the place quite nice. But then he found another place to crash. This doesn't seem like survival. Victor said he was too worried to sleep last night. Now he thinks it's the perfect time to catch up on sleep. In no time, you could hear him snoring. He must be really exhausted. The camera moves to Jesper, still wandering around. He found it too damp here from the beginning, especially on this mountainside, where cold air keeps coming down. He doesn't like the spot the producers chose. Lingering here too long might lead to perpetually cold legs. Oh, and look who just showed up. Anyone recall Lars from Season 3? Right after, Sunny from Season 2 shows up. He's here to win this time, brimming with confidence. I didn't expect Anna from Season 6 to be invited. She was so excited she got a stomachache, and then she saw Bork from Season 2. She's super confident. Unless the producers drag her out, she's set on lasting till the end and winning. The environment here is really nice. If possible, she doesn't want to disturb it. Wow! It wasn't like this in Season 2. Let's see how she performs next. Victor finally woke up. He feels much more refreshed. Next, he plans to build a simple shelter. It's really quite easy. Just a quick setup will do. Even so, Victor still feels very tired. He wore himself out completely. Wow! Is he going to go home on the first day? Victor insists it's not an act. He really feels unwell. Things are worsening. His body won't stop trembling. He faced challenges in Norway before, but he didn't have any issues then. This time, he started by vomiting and couldn't bear the headache. Despite slacking off, Victor doesn't want to leave early and lose face. He pushed through the discomfort to finish the shelter. His emotions are crumbling. He cried while finishing the shelter, likely due to the pressure. It's crushing him. Hopefully, resting will help a bit. Camilla is busy chopping wood. She finds the environment okay, but thinks it needs some tweaking. She hasn't come across any food yet. She's a bit bummed out. A bite of meat today would lift her spirits and boost her confidence for the challenge. Camilla's shelter is even simpler. Just a pull of the rope, and it's almost done. It doesn't even look like she's here for survival. She looks like she's on a relaxing vacation, totally at ease. Lars, meanwhile, has picked his shelter spot. With just a stick and a waterproof cloth, he can easily set up his shelter. Burke simply uses a rope. Then he covers it with the waterproof cloth. Other contestants' setups are quite similar. The simpler, the better. As long as it keeps the rain out, it's good enough. They'll just brave the wind with their sleeping bags. The first day is all about simplicity. They're happy with their shelters. Lars is unsure about dangerous animals nearby. Hopefully, he won't run into any. Otherwise, he'd have to move to another spot. Chris is exploring the surroundings, stopping only when he reaches a vertical wall. He's really curious about what's on the other side, and Jesper is probably nearby. No wonder the show stresses avoiding others. Jesper is busy collecting mushrooms to eat. Unexpectedly, a mouse escapes, leaving only a dead one behind. This dampens his spirits a bit, so he turns to fishing. Lots of contestants have pro fishing rods. They believe the fishing conditions here are excellent. With a fishing rod, they have a better chance of sticking around longer. Fishing fans should definitely check this place out. The setting is peaceful, and there are loads of fish. Jesper says it's not that many. He hasn't caught any fish yet. Now he's collecting branches to make a bed. He's confident he'll sleep well tonight. Then, he notices the fishing line moving and rushes to check the rod. Sure enough, there's a fish on the line, and it's pretty big. He didn't think he'd catch so much on day one. He's thrilled. Pairing it with mushrooms will be delicious. He quickly wraps up his shelter setup, not aiming for perfection. He just drapes the waterproof cloth casually. It's time to cook the fish, even without any seasoning. It tastes quite delicious. He recalls how he used to relieve stress every day by focusing like this. Jesper thinks this challenge isn't that hard. As long as his body doesn't have any major issues, he can keep up this pace. He's sure he can finish the challenge. The others aren't as fortunate. They haven't caught any fish. It's time to head back to the shelter and rest. Camilla didn't fish. She just found it too quiet here. She was especially bored, making it tough to sleep in that setting. Victor had it worse. He felt unwell from the start. He had to tough it out and keep working. Thankfully, the vomiting stopped, and he managed to get some rest. After dark, Chris kept exploring and wandering before heading back to the shelter. The challenge entered its second day. Camilla woke up praying for food and hoping her shelter would hold up until the end. I suggest just aiming for the championship. Today, I plan to look around nearby. Finding a suitable spot is crucial. Sunny's scouting for a shelter spot, while Burke's concerned about rising water levels and needs to factor that in. He doesn't want to build only to relocate later. Last time, the tough conditions meant most shelters couldn't withstand the test. The rising water level didn't help, it flooded the shelters instead. So, everyone's now focusing more on picking the right spot. Jesper likes the area and wants to explore further. He needs plenty of sunlight to keep warm. Burke is thinking the same and has picked a good spot to build. He hopes this place will last until the end of the challenge. Chris also wants a sunny spot for his shelter. He hopes to build it up there, but the problem is fetching water. He'd have to make several trips a day. That would tire him out fast. Meanwhile, Camilla's found a good spot and is getting ready to clear it quickly. Jesper keeps moving upward, hoping to find a suitable place. After wandering around, he finally finds a spot. Building a shelter on a slope not only allows him to enjoy the sunlight, but also avoids the wind. She is very satisfied with this spot. Now she just needs to trim the nearby trees and dig a pit next to it. Resting there is super comfy. Meanwhile, Victor's still struggling. He's not feeling any better. The headache was so bad I couldn't sleep. My family believed she would succeed here. I hope she can finish the challenge. Even though his mom had reservations, she backed him in trying the challenge again. Who'd have guessed he'd stumble on day 1? By the second day, he was ready to leave. Victor claimed he wanted to continue, but it didn't seem likely given his condition. Sunny discovered an ideal spot only 20 meters from the lake. It seemed perfect for setting up camp. He aims to finish it all at once, starting with the frame and then adding a waterproof sheet. That rock seems quite large, but 2 people can handle it. Burke prioritizes food and goes to the shore to fish. To catch fish, they used berries as bait. Anna just collected mushrooms to eat, hoping to make the food last longer. The best method is to dry them. When you're ready to eat, just toss them in a pot to cook. Despite their volume, they don't offer much energy. Lars' shelter is a classic design, reliable for wilderness survival in both space and warmth. She believes it will work. Camilla then remembered to fish, something she hadn't done much since childhood. She picked up a little during the show's training, so she didn't expect much, but soon after starting, she got a bite. Is this beginner's luck? It looks like her casting is pretty good. Camilla suddenly found fishing quite enjoyable. Thank you, nature, for your gift. Tonight, we'll cook the fish well. Chris also caught a fish, though it wasn't very big. But for her, it was already great. Today is her little daughter's birthday. She hopes everyone stays happy. She even crafted a small candle and wonders how her little daughter is doing. It's the 3rd day of the challenge. Camilla's initial excitement has faded, leaving her feeling lost and uncertain. It's also her birthday today. His girlfriend used to surprise him on his birthday, but now, alone, he feels lonely. To replenish salt, he started drinking his own urine. Does anyone know if this really works? Or was he just thirsty? You can actually replenish salt through sweat, but Camilla found this more convenient. You have to admit, she's pretty tough. Jesper keeps toiling on the shelter, needing to remove the roots to prevent moisture from seeping in. He doesn't want the shelter to feel like a sauna. He pushed himself too hard and fell, but thankfully wasn't injured. He needs to be more cautious. It could easily roll down. Jesper worries about rain and potential water flow. Victor's situation is worse. He nearly fell and got struck by a tree, leaving him too weak to chop wood, which slowed shelter progress significantly. After half a day's work, the frame was still incomplete. With worsening weather ahead, a basic shelter won't hold up. They had suffered a lot before. This time, they can't make the same mistakes. They must get the shelter built properly. Victor invested considerable effort and finally completed the frame. He believes that once this is done, it will surely be the coolest shelter once they cover it with branches. He feels much better now. He believes he can make it to the end. Failing to last a week would be worse than death. He needs to find a way to get some food. Victor thinks he's quite good at fishing. Let's see how he catches the fish. Thinking back to before, when he and his partner used a net to catch fish, they were thrilled. The more they caught, the more fun they had. Just as he was about to remember a past challenge, a fish suddenly bit. Victor said his skills are fine, but the fish is just a bit small. Lars caught some fish too, and there seemed to be plenty around. Camilla didn't season them, but they tasted fine. Next time, they should try it with berries. Anna used mushrooms this time. Victor isn't a fan of fish, but he has to eat. He'll definitely faint from hunger. He forced himself to eat the fish despite feeling uncomfortable. Although it was a bit comforting, it actually tasted pretty good. The others began tasting the food, thinking this is what survival food should be. Camilla enjoyed having fish on her birthday. Unfortunately, she felt lonely without her girlfriend and considered going home. By the 4th day, Jesper noticed the weather getting colder. And shivered even inside his sleeping bag. He gathered more firewood to stay warm. The smoke was a bit suffocating, and the shelter needed more work. They couldn't afford to waste energy wandering around like before. This time, they need to pay more attention to their bodies. He isn't as strong as last time. It feels harder than the previous challenge. He deeply misses his family. First, he needs to eat some fish. Though a bit burnt outside, the meat inside is tender. Jesper is joyfully eating the fish. I hope everyone enjoys it. Victor's headaches are returning. I'm not sure what went wrong. I spent an hour trying to start a fire, but couldn't. It took a lot of effort to finally get it going. He needs to get some emergency food ready. happy. Hopefully, eating will help him feel better, but it didn't work as well as expected. Instead, it made him throw up. Camilla is busy making a large bed. Last time, the space for the two-person challenge was too small. Sleeping was very uncomfortable. Being alone this time is much better. Chris still hasn't built a shelter. Instead, he's considering building a raft. From the last challenge, it's clear that building a shelter early is wiser, but later, there won't be much energy for finding food. Is he trying to beat the odds? Suddenly, a gust of wind blew through. Chris found it incredible. The wind blowing through the jungle sounded like a symphony. He felt completely relaxed and thought for a long time. He decided to build a shelter anyway. It would be simpler, but still a major task. Camilla aims to stay for 40 days. She aims to beat her previous challenge and needs the shelter to keep her warm at night. The framework is nearly complete. The producers knew the contestants wouldn't be very strong, but didn't expect anyone to quit so early. Victor feels like his body is about to burst and can barely stand. After a brief checkup by the doctor believes it's likely just acclimatization and not too serious. He thinks Victor can keep going. Hearing this, Victor feels even worse. He really doesn't want to stay any longer. He just wants to go home and rest. It proves that wilderness survival isn't for everyone. Hopefully, Victor will take care of himself after going back. Last time, he went 5 days without food and was fine. This time, 4 days have already worn him out. Victor says he shouldn't have joined the challenge. He's emotionally drained. He packs up and leaves. The others keep pushing forward. Everyone wonders who will be the next to leave after Victor. Let's wait and see.